So today I'm going to be going over a Gen 3 preparation checklist, giving you some tips that might seem kind of obvious, for preparing for Gen 3, and then some tips that are a little bit like, oh, hey, that's a pretty good idea, you know what I mean? So first off, I'm going to go over the most basic tip, right, and that's to prepare your inventory to catch these Pokemon. I'm not talking about your Pokemon storage right now. I'm talking about your items, right? You're gonna want some Pinap berries so you can get all them Pokemon right away, and you want to have enough Pokeballs, Ultra Balls, Great Balls, stuff like that. So so you can begin your 2-day powwow, driving around in a 15-mile radius, trying to be the first one in your community to get all them Gen 3 Pokemon bugs, right? Right. So these are reasonable predictions. I don't know for sure if these are what the candy values are going to be. They're probably not, but from what we have now, you can kind of assume this is what it's going to look like. So yeah, so I was looking at Pokemon that have 3 stages of evolution, which are these boys, right? And I figure they're going to cost us 125 candy to get through all their stages. So mathing that all together, we're looking at 1,625 pieces of these guys' candy, right? Which, if you translate that into Pinap catches, that's about 271 Pinap catches, right? You excited yet? Then we got these wormy boys. They're a 3-part evolution and they're bugs. I don't know if they're gonna keep the bug trend going that we have with the Caterpies and the Weedles, and continue to make them like a 12 and then 50 candy evolution. So I'm just, basing that assumption right there. So 21 Pinap catches, because this boy's got a split evolutionary line, right? And then we got the 50 ones, which are, single stage evolutions. So, you only have to have that. And Niantic, each generation, it appears that they have 1 or 2 of these that are a 25 candy for a single evolution. I can't say for sure which one that's going to be, so I decided to make them all 50. And Clamp Pearl featured twice because it's got split evolution, right? So we're looking at 1,250 pieces of candy, or 208 Pinap catches. Adding this all together, we've got a nice 500 Pinap catches, right? So if you want to be prepared, if you want to be the guy or the lady, right, that's prepared for Gen 3, and you already took off work, or we don't know when Gen 3 is coming up, but you already took off, you quit your job already, prophylactically, like, I'm ready. But no, you got your vacation time set, you know what I mean? You got your contingency plan, and you're going to run around for 2 or 3 days, and you want to maximize your run around and doing that time, then you're going to want at least 500 pieces of Pinap candy, and enough great Ultra and regular Pokeballs to supplement that. Probably even more Pinaps, if you think about it, because there's those catches that, they pop out of the ball, and you need another Pinap berry, right? I'd say reasonably, trying to reach about 50 to 100 Pinap berries pre-Gen 3. If you're more, relaxed about catching the Pokemon, would probably be good. Me, I'm a bit more of a relaxed player, so I'm only gunning to get about 100 Pinap berries. But if you want to get all the Pokemon, in less than a week, so then you can complain for 2 months about how there's nothing to do in the game, then 500 Pinaps or greater is what you're aiming for. And then I also did include Feebas or Wailmer here, these 2 special boys, into this Pinap equation, because I don't know what they're going to do with Feebas. Feebas, if you're unaware of Gen 3 Pokemon, is sort of like the Magikarp of Gen 3. It's just this pathetic, weird looking fish Pokemon, and then it evolves into this magnificent glory water snake Pokemon. This one does Milotic, and it's a pretty Pokemon. A lot of people love it, so I don't know, maybe Niantic will put up a 400 candy wall again for that. Maybe it'll just be a 100 candy wall. Maybe it'll just be a 50 candy wall. Who knows? And then Wailmer isn't, I guess, particularly special, but Wailord is freaking huge. And, I mean, if you're going to have a Wailord, if you're putting a Wailord in a gym and you have a Wailord, in my mind, the way I see things, that's like a massive swag, super iconic Pokemon that people are going to want. So if anything's going to get put behind some sort of candy barrier, I would imagine a Pokemon like that would be, but it's Niantic. There's no telling what they're gonna do. Maybe they're gonna make all these Pokemon cost 500 candy or something. Just every single one. You wanna evolve your Mudkip into a Marshtomp? 500 candy. Who knows? I mean, but following the trends that we have now, this is kind of what I'm expecting here, right? So over 500 Pinap catches. Excitement, right? Now, another way to prepare to get all these Pokemon is to start getting used to updating the Nest Atlas and identifying nests. And if you haven't already put your community up on this, it's probably good to spread the word and let people in your local area know about the Nest Atlas. This special boy, it's on the Sylph Road website. When I post this on YouTube, I may as well link it. You know, like, hey, if you don't know about the Nest Atlas, this is my downtown area. So yeah, a lot of people don't really update the Nest Atlas anymore because everybody already has everything, and the main thing people do in the game right now is go to raids, you know? So it's like, all these nests, I think we also just had like a nest change not too long ago too. But yeah, a lot of these nests don't get updated right away anymore, but some do. You know, some are getting updated. But yeah, if you make people more aware of the Nest Atlas, or you get in the habit of using the Nest Atlas again and reporting nests again, then when Gen 3 comes out and we have Gen 3 nests, then players will know where to find them right away. And they have a nice species tab. Right now it's only Gen 1 and Gen 2, but they got a Gen 3 tab in the future. Hopefully Sylph Road is up on this, right? Then you could seek out those Gen 3 nests a little bit quicker, and that'll also be a good route to get specific Gen 3 Pokemon sooner than later, right? Now, you're going to be catching all these new Pokemon. Preparing your like items for that, to tackle that, is one thing, right? But preparing your Pokemon storage, right? That's another. Preparing your Pokemon storage is another thing that you really want to consider when you're preparing for the next generation of Pokemon, right? I'm pretty convinced that they're going to expand our storage, that they're going to have more storage slots that we can buy. So that's an option, but they might not do that right away. And if they do it, they might have a sale for it. You know what I mean? Like, oh, half off. So you can just dump all your coins right away and get those bag spaces. So I guess assuming that they're not going to have that updated right away, you're going to want to have at least 100, you know, spaces open to kind of like handle all the new Pokemon. I'd say if there aren't new spaces right away, then you might feel a little bit more comfortable. You'll probably have to make a lot less hard choices in the moment if you prepare 200 slots. Yeah, so like we got all these new Pokemon here, right? Aside from the legendaries, there's about 112 new ones. So if you want to have that living Pokedex still, you're probably going to need at least 100 slots to fill that, but then you're going to have all the extras and all the high IVs and all the unique movesets and all the good ones and stuff like that. So I think trying to prepare 200 slots ahead of time, if that's possible for you, would probably be good, right? That'd be a good idea. So you're not like, you always have that moment where you're like, you're going and you're with your friends, you catch a bunch of Pokemon, and then all of a sudden you hit the wall, and you're like, I have to transfer Pokemon. Well, which one do I transfer? And then you start like sloppily transferring like your recent catches, and you're like, well, I don't want to transfer this, and it's like, what do I want to transfer? So I'd say start working through that now rather than later, right? Now, if there is a sale on item spaces, I wrote this down somewhere so I could be fancy about it. Boom. Yeah, so right now, typically it costs $100 for $100. Oh man, 100 Pokecoins for 50 slots. But on sale, it'd be 50 for 50. Assuming that we'd get 500 new slots, they need 500 Pokecoins. So try to save up at least 500 Pokecoins for that. Yeah, one thing that might get in your way of the 500 Pokecoins is they haven't announced a Thanksgiving event yet. Right? Oh, Thanksgiving. Yeah, that America holiday that is stopping my stream next Thursday, right? They haven't announced one yet, but I think it's reasonable to assume that they'll do one. And if they do one, last year it was a Stardust event. So I think we could probably assume it's going to be a Stardust event again. And if it's a Stardust event, you're going to want to buy a bunch of incubators. So, I mean, trying to save 500 coins for the slots that might happen in December. I don't know. I think you'll have enough time leaving the Thanksgiving event. If there is a Thanksgiving event, I think you'll have enough time to save up 500 coins. And then, even if you don't, you know, while the sale's going on, I think they usually do the item space sales for like a week. So you'll have time. You'll have time to get those new Pokemon spaces. And then you'll have to make less hard choices for about 2 weeks. And then you'll hit the new cap all the time. You'll be like, how many special Pikachus do I need? You know, like, they're the real tough choices there, let me tell you. Right? So, moving from there, you got that Stardust event, right? So, I know I'm gonna be like the mom here, the Pokemon Go dad, you know, and be like, you gotta save your Stardust, right? I think it'd be mindful for you to save your Stardust. I try to be very frugal with my Stardust, right? And I think a reasonable goal, I think a goal that people should be setting is if you have under 500 Stardust, right? Try to make sure that you have 500,000. There we go. 500,000 Stardust. You know, try to make sure you got that much going into Gen 3. It's a little bit of an arbitrary number pick, but got that little Stardust graph. So this is a lovely, lovely chart made by user Impulse9. I was like Impulsinine. But yeah, it'll let you know how much candy and Stardust you need to level a Pokemon up from 20 to 25 to 30 to 35 to 39, or collective altogether, stuff like that. And going from 20, which is, you know, the raid catch, egg hatch, all the way to 39, which is the current max. I don't think they've updated it to 39.5 again. I don't know, Niantic's been really weird about that. It's supposed to be 40, but Niantic, right? But yeah, it's like, that's 200,000 Stardust. You know, and you might be sitting there at home and you're like, Ryan Swag, I'm not going to just randomly drop 205,000 Stardust on some new Pokemon. But then you get that 100 Bagon hatched, and you've got enough candy for a Salamence, and you want to have your maxed out Hundo you know, I'm saying, I'm trying to give you the tools to you know, feed your need, you know what I'm saying? So you're not going into Gen 3 and you're like, oh my god, I already spent all my Stardust and I don't have any Stardust at all, and what do? I want to max out this Pokemon, and then like, they'll release some new move or some new mechanic or something, and then makes your other Pokemon look stupid, and you need this new shiny guy, you know what I'm saying? We've all been there, alright? We've all been there. So I think it'd be good to try to prepare 500,000 so you can power up what you need and what you want to power up, you know, early on in Gen 3, and you don't have to feel too bad about it. I did make a video a while back, a stream I did a couple streams ago, where I went over like my advice on powering up Pokemon and spending Stardust. So I'm not gonna go through that whole preach dad mom mode again, being like, well, save your Stardust and only power up to the breakpoints and only power up Pokemon that you need, and like you guys at this point get it, you know what I mean? Yeah. So another piece of basic advice that, you know, everybody knows about, right, is looking out for those good move sets right now, because you never know when Niantic's gonna come on through and make something legacy, or even worse, they'll make it legacy and then they'll buff it. Yeah, and you're thinking like, why would Niantic do that? Nobody knows why Niantic would do that, but they do it. They've done it, and I'm expecting them to do it again. So I decided to like make a small list of some Pokemon that are kind of mindful for looking out for, making sure you've got a variety of movesets on them, because you never know what's going to happen. I think one of the best examples of this is Snorlax, and I think that one's the most notable example, right? So Snorlax, right? Body Slam was on its moveset pre-Gen 2, right? And it was an okay charge move. You know, like, Snorlax, you're kind of indifferent about the charge moves, really, but Body Slam was the best in Gen 1 because it was still multi-bar, but Body Slam was nothing like it is today. Yeah. you know what I'm talking about, body spam, right? Because when they made Body Slam Legacy, at the same time they buffed it. I believe they increased the damage. That I'd have to check, but I know for a fact that they made it a triple bar charge move, and it just keeps happening, you know. So now, you know, players that experienced that and don't have a bunch of body slam Snorlaxes. I've got two. Oh yeah. Um, uh, you know, they're prepared. They're ready. They got the fear in them. You know, where's the good Pokemon? Which one's gonna be the good? So I think one interesting one that's good to look out for is making sure you have a close combat Machamp. And I know that close combat Machamp is second best. You know, it's not the goodest. We get that dynamic punch, you know. But there's no telling what Niantic's gonna do. What if, what if you made sure that all of your Machamps are dynamic punch, because dynamic punch is the best moveset, and then Gen 3 comes out, and then close combat becomes a legacy move, and then they made like close combat like a triple bar charge move, and it's way better than dynamic punch. And if you thought dynamic punch was good, well, think again, because close combat's the new god now, you know. So I'm just saying, I'm not saying burn a whole bunch of charge TMs trying to get it, but if you have one, or if you're soloing some Machamps, you know, maybe mindful to, like, you know, maybe evolve some Machops right now, you know. Try to get one, you know. Then there's Tyranitar, and so Crunch and Stone Edge. You want to make sure you got both. I converted a lot of my strongest Tyranitars into Crunch ones because I wanted to do the 3-man clear on Mewtwo. So only got one EX Raid Pass, right? So there's another wave went out. The wave did not hit me. So yeah. EX Raids, Mewtwo. But yeah, no, so I've got a bunch of Crunch ones, but I still do have a couple Raid Catch Stone Edge ones in reserve, because you never know. You know, what happens if Stone Edge becomes a legacy move, and then Tyranitar gets like a rock quick move? Well, now you're missing out on that double rock hype, you know? Or what if they get rid of Crunch, and you're like, oh, Foul Play is better anyways, but then they buff Crunch, and now it's like, oh man, if you have Crunch Tyranitar, then you're the boss. But now you can no longer get it, and for some reason you didn't have one, and you know, so it could happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it could. Same thing with Bite on Tyranitar. You know, they got rid of Dragon Breath on Dragonite. You know, gave them Dragon Tail. They're kind of similar. Some situations Dragon Tail is better, some situations Dragon Breath is better. You know, wouldn't it be nice to just have that proof in the pudding, making sure you got that Bite Tyranitar, so you don't end up being like, man, in this specific situation, Bite would be so nice to have right now. You know, it's like, these are small things, but they matter, right? They matter to me, right? So that's why I'm talking about it. So yeah, Outrage and Hurricane on Dragonite. They could make either of those legacy. They could buff either of them for no rhyme, no reason, and then all of a sudden, one moveset or the other is topping some chart, and you're just like, you know, I TM'd away all my Hurricanes to Outrages because I could, and now I just feel stupid, you know. So I don't want to be in that situation, you know. So let's see, Gengar, Sludge Bomb, and Shadow Ball, right? Because Sludge Bomb, Gengar is like best, you know, poison DPS in my opinion. If I'm gonna be hitting a certain fairy, you know, I'd probably be using a Steel type actually if I want to counter Gardevoir, but hey, poison DPS. What if Sludge Bomb Gengar, you know, what if there's like a Gardevoir raid, and Sludge Bomb Gengar is like some secret answer to it that's really good for one reason or another, and now you're missing out because guess what? Sludge Bomb's legacy, and you can't get it now because Niantic decided to make it legacy. Or Shadow Ball. Let's say you're never prudent, you know, and you never needed to use a Gengar, so you never got a Shadow Ball Gengar. But now Gengar no longer has a Ghost type charge move, you know, so be good to look into that, you know. I think a big one for this kind of advice would be Gyarados, because like all of Gyarados' movesets right now have some sort of like niche use or niche advantage, and Niantic, you know, they put in the APK, it was data mined, that there's going to be a waterfall quick move, and everybody's been praying and begging for a water type quick move on Gyarados, and this might be the move. Well, if it gets Waterfall, then it's going to be getting rid of Dragon Tail or Bite, assuming that we don't get a 3 quick move situation, you know? So if they get rid of Bite, if they get rid of Dragon Tail, then there are certain like niches that Gyarados operates in right now, or has the ability to operate in, that it'll be missing out on. And as far as its charge moves go, you know, kind of equal importance. You know what I mean? Crunch, the Bite Crunch set is like this alternative sort of dark DPS that resists fighting type attacks. You know, we've seen, and it resists water type attacks too, and it resists steel type attacks. You know, so it's like a whole list of Pokemon that Tyranitar doesn't like to fight, that it could get a super effective advantage on. I think one of the best examples is Hydro Pump Lugia. You know, that's where the Double Dark Gyarados hype initially began, I believe, was against the Hydro Pump Lugia raids. You know, Tyranitar is great, but it's going to get hit by a Hydro Pump and then done, you know. But Gyarados is still trucking away, hitting him with the crunches. Well, guess what? Now Gyarados can't get Crunch anymore, and if you didn't have Crunch Gyarados, now you can't get Crunch Gyarados. And oh, look, they also buffed Crunch. So now if you don't have a Crunch Gyarados, you're basically stupid. You know, it could happen. I'm not saying like go and blow like 20 charge TMs, making sure you've got all the boxes checked off, but be mindful to look into it. Or if you're sitting on like a huge cache of like Magikarp candy that you're never gonna spend, and you're just collecting it because you don't want to evolve another Gyarados because you're just sitting on that maybe or something, then maybe evolve a couple. Make sure you get all the variety of the movesets. You know, Dragon Tail Outrage, I don't think it's a good neutral attacker. I don't think it's a good sort of like Dragon type counter, Dragon Slayer, anything like that. There's a lot of other Pokemon that I feel that fill that role better, but you know, who knows what we're facing in the future, and what if Dragon Tail Outrage becomes a huge thing? You know, on Gym Defense, yeah, I just went dissing the move and I forgot about Gym Defense. On Gym Defense, I think it's a pretty good moveset because Dragonites don't really fear Gyarados, but if they get hit by that Outrage, they're donezo. So, you know, take that for what you will. And then there's also the rare situation that they might get rid of Hydro Pump, which would just be twisted. You know, like, yeah, we gave you a water type quick move, but we took away the water type charge move. So, yeah, Niantic, yeah, we deal with it. You know, that could happen. I'm not saying that it is. It could. You know, let's put on some tinfoil hats and prepare for the legacy apocalypse that comes with Gen 3. You know, I think it'd be hilarious if Gen 3 happened and they didn't change any of the movesets, and then people could look back at this video and be like, what an idiot. Right? Final ones, 2, same situation though, Blissey and Chansey. Right now, they're Blissey more so than Chansey, but both of them are like top in the charts as gym defenders. If you want to defend a gym well, I'd say there's only 2 Pokemon that are really worthwhile for investing in, you know, and that's those 2, Blissey and Chansey. Chansey for like the long-term gym defense over like days, you know, and then Blissey for that immediate sort of like, I want my gym to last for 4 hours so I can, you know, get that many more coins. So I don't have to take like 10 gyms a day to get 50 coins, you know. They're pretty threatening with their Dazzling Gleam. What if Niantic legacied it? What if they legacied it and then they made Dazzling Gleam a 3-bar charge move? You know how you be feeling then? Then you're gonna be feeling sorry. You're gonna be like, man, oh, I could have taken the time to make sure I have at least one of those. You didn't. Now look where I got you, you know? So, little tinfoil on the head, preparing for the future, right? That is Gen 3, Legacy buff.